I really feel that it's important for us to be honest with ourselves about the past. And, the past isn't a static thing, and it's not a single narrative. And I think that that's what we forget when we look at monuments, or when we see and absorb the power of monuments, that they're meant to communicate a particular idea, a certain value. So I'm really interested in finding ways to practice active remembering in a way that leaves space for annotation, for reevaluation, for remaining fluid, and for allowing these narratives to evolve. I feel like when I make work, I typically have something that I want to communicate. Maybe it's research related. So it could be that I uncovered a really interesting sort of nugget that I didn't know in my research, and I want to convey that or communicate that. Or, maybe it's a story that I want to tell about my family. So that's kind of the starting point, but I also acknowledge and understand that everyone is going to bring their own experiences to seeing that art and to interpreting that art. So I try to leave space for that. I try to create pathways not only to communicate a story, but to create a window for a person to examine their own story. In My Living Monument, I tried to do two things. To sort of snub my nose at the politics of public commemoration practices, and using humor to do that. But also, other than that very brief little blurb about Burnside, he's largely ignored. The idea is that we take the focus off of him and use his platform to tell the stories of Rhode Island women who were living at the same time as Burnside and doing incredible things, and many of them, most folks don't know their names. The fight against being honest and looking at our history with honesty and integrity, that is a very national story right now, but it's also a very local one. And it's one that's touched my family and the school district that my son just graduated from. I think that it's important to us as folks working in the humanities, that this is a responsibility that we hold. Not only to keep these stories, to share them, but to continue to ask ourselves questions about what our values are, and infusing our educational practices with those values.